if you use AI to learn or create, then I have bad news for you. We are in a critical thinking crisis. More people are becoming illiterate, more people are becoming dumber because of what AI does to our brains. As a former medical doctor and learning coach myself, I've been trying to figure out this problem. How do we help creators and entrepreneurs use AI in a way that actually makes their content more meaningful and it makes them, the creators, more intelligent in the process? And that's exactly what I'm going to show you in this video. So I need you to understand what's actually going on underneath the surface. Because when people hear critical thinking crisis, they reflexively think, oh, it's probably our smartphones, right? Or it's social media, or it's our short attention spans. But that's just on the surface, right? It's much deeper, and it also happens much earlier. See, my wife, she's a teacher, and a few years ago, she was teaching the 4th grade over Zoom, right? This was during the pandemic. And she noticed something. I mean, to be fair, she saw a lot of things. Some of these kids were doing TikTok dances. Like they had their phones out during class and recording videos of them dancing while she was giving a lesson. Like she could see them. But what scared her the most was when she tried to teach them how to think through a problem. And they just didn't want to. They didn't even want to try. Some of the students asked her, why do I need to learn any of this if I can just ask AI for the answers? And the interesting part is that she didn't have a good answer, right? She even agreed with them. And the thing is, these questions that these kids are asking, it's not just a kid problem. It's not just a school problem. All of the adults are living it right now in their work, in their content, in their businesses. This is a whole phenomenon that we call the illusion of learning. See, a lot of people think that intelligence is simply having a lot of information. You can read a book, you can watch a video, you can ask AI to summarize a report for you if you want to. And so you feel informed. You feel like you understand it. But that feeling, that sense that you know something, it's not the same as actually understanding it. There's this concept called desirable difficulties. It was coined by Robert Bjork, who was a psychologist who studied the way that humans learn. Now, desirable difficulties is a simple idea, but it's very counterintuitive. It says that your brain needs to struggle in order to learn. Let's break it down a little further. Let's pretend that this is your brain. And let's say that, metaphorically, these are your neurons. So when you're struggling with information, you're trying to recall something, you're trying to connect ideas together, or you're trying to push through your confusion, those neurons are firing repeatedly, right? These neurons are creating connections. And so when you're struggling, two things happen. The first thing is that these connections, they become physically stronger. The more you use it, the easier it becomes for those neurons to communicate with each other, right? That's the brain literally building the wiring for your memory. Now, the second thing that happens is that your neurons wrap this wiring, they wrap your nerve fibers to create something like insulation for these electrical signals to fire faster. It's like you're upgrading a dirt road into a highway. And so when I say that your brain needs to struggle in order to learn, this is exactly why. But the problem is that when this cognitive struggle, right, when this desirable difficulties, when that disappears, then so does our learning. Now, a lot of people are pointing the finger at AI and pointing out problems like it's a distraction, it's making us lazy, it's hallucinating, and these are all problems. But I think the real problem is much more subtle than all of those things. The problem is that AI gives you the feeling of understanding without the process in our brains that create that understanding. You ask AI to explain something complex, it breaks it down very clearly, it connects all the ideas for you, it makes it feel simple, and so your brain just assumes that it's learned it already. But your brain didn't really do the work, AI did the work. And so you feel informed and you feel capable, but you basically skipped all the steps that make your brain stronger. And so you didn't get smarter, you actually got dumber. And that gap between how capable you feel and how capable you actually are, this is the illusion of learning. Now, this is where things can get interesting. If you map out the whole process of what learning looks like in your brain, like step by step, you can see that we're actually offloading everything to AI. And when I show you this framework, you're gonna see your own patterns in it immediately. So a few years ago, Matty and I, we built a learning program for students called StudyQuest. Shout out to all the students who are still in the program. And in building this program, we mapped out what we saw was the core learning cycle, what we call the 3 C's. So the 3 C's, if you were in StudyQuest, you might remember them as collect, connect, challenge. That's for when you're in school and you're taking exams. When you enter the real world, it's pretty much the same. We call it capture, connect, create. So let's go through each of these. Capture is not just consuming information anymore, but it's filtering it, right? Your brain is trying to decide what matters here and what doesn't. It's the act of discernment, and it takes a lot of brain power to actually do this. Like imagine yourself walking down a busy street, right? All the things that you see, that you hear, right? You see street signs, you see cars, you see billboards, you hear people talking. All that information, your brain is quickly deciding whether or not it's important to keep or you just filter it out. It's just noise. And that's at a very basic level. Now think about when you're in school, right? The teacher tells you, you have to read this textbook. You have to study chapter 5 for the exam tomorrow. Capture is asking yourself, why do I need to learn this at all, right? Why do I need to learn how to write cursive? Why do I need to learn how to do long division? Why do I need to learn all these random history trivia? Your ability to capture affects how clearly you can think. So next is connect. And this is basically forcing new information to interact with what you already know. So let's say you already have a bunch of pieces of information that you already know, and this is inside your brain. When you learn something new, right, you're introducing a new piece of information. The best way to learn this new piece of information is to figure out, how do I connect this to what I already know? It's building these connections that actually allows it to stick in your memory. This is like constructing mental models, for example. This is where learning is supposed to feel really hard because that discomfort is the mechanism that's making these connections. And then finally, we have create. This is like stress testing what you already know. This could be building something, business, content, products, frameworks. This could be looking at something from a different angle, something that you haven't seen before. So maybe you thought you knew it one way, but turns out it's, could be a different way. So it's this creation step that really exposes whether you actually understand something or you only felt like you did. If you skip capture and connect and you try to jump straight to create, then you would feel this gap of knowledge immediately. For example, we see a lot of this in our program. A lot of people come and they want to work with us, and it looks on the surface that they have a stacked portfolio and they have a lot of credentials. But when we push a little deeper, right, and we ask them to explain your frameworks or explain the mechanism behind why you think this. What are your opinions? What are your convictions? A lot of people can't answer it, right? And so what do? We call them fake. We call them imposters, and we kick them out of our program. I'm just kidding, we don't do that. We actually help them build the knowledge so that their content can be good and they can actually educate their audience as well. But these creators who came to us, this is exactly what's happening to them, right? They're not lacking talent, they just lack the reps in order to really crystallize what they understand. Because for the first time in history, one tool can run the entire learning cycle, right? AI can capture, it can connect, and it can create for you, the whole thing. Think back to the calculator, right? The calculator changed the way we do math. It changed what type of math we needed to do, but we still had to do math. AI is a completely different story, right? It's changing cognition itself. AI amplifies what's already there. And if you haven't trained your thinking, then it amplifies that too. So what do you do about all this? The answer is not to ban all AI, right? Because if you do, then that's just missing the point. I think the answer is something more specific. And it may sound simple, but the science behind it is pretty solid. So if you remove resistance from exercise, then your muscles get weak. If you remove struggle from thinking, then your brain gets weak. Like we said, studies show that intense thinking literally changes your brain chemistry. Your brain builds new pathways under cognitive load, the same way that muscles build fiber under physical load. And if you remove that load, then growth just stops. And so the solution is not to avoid AI, it's actually to use AI to reintroduce friction into our lives, to give us that desired difficulty. And so I'm going to share with you 3 practical ways that you can do this that each correlate to one of the 3 C's. The first way is to think on paper. See, when you're trying to write something down, like on an actual piece of paper or an iPad, like not typing, not prompting an AI, actually drawing it out by hand, your brain needs to retrieve things from your memory. It needs to filter out what ideas do I have that actually matter. That is capture happening manually. Now, we actually teach a technique on how to do this methodically. It's something we call tree notes. If you're interested, I can link a few videos deep diving on that in the description below. But the process basically works like this, right? When you draw something out, it forces your brain to really evaluate and figure out what is important and what is not. So for example, you may have done mind maps or flow charts, and you may have drawn it like this. So this is idea A, this is idea B, this is C, and this is D. And all of these fall under the umbrella of whatever this is. Let's call it X. These all have relationships to each other. And so when you ask AI a question, like let's say, how do I lose weight as fast as possible? AI is gonna give you a whole bunch of answers. A, eat healthier. B, exercise. C, get some sleep. Whatever the main ideas are. And so AI is essentially doing the connection for you, and it's giving it to you in a very simple mental model. Now, what happens when you actually try to draw this out yourself or even execute and figure out if this actually even works? You might actually realize that, hey, concept A on nutrition is actually a huge component of weight loss. What you eat is probably much more impactful than what kind of weights you're lifting. So A is actually a lot bigger than B. And then maybe, the supplements that you take, maybe it doesn't matter that much. And so this idea is just a lot smaller and it's over here. And then actually you might find that what you eat determines what you even need to do in exercise and vice versa. There are a lot of other relationships that you have otherwise maybe not realized if you just asked AI for the answers without thinking through it and struggling through it yourself. Now, the second technique is actually using AI in the opposite way of how most people use AI. Most people will use AI as their brain, right? They say, help me think through this problem, or make this writing sound better, or summarize this for me, research this for me. And when AI does all of it for you and it gives you the answer, it feels good, right? You feel productive, you got something done. But remember, the problem is that we've essentially skipped the learning cycle, right? We've essentially skipped connecting our own ideas together. So what I recommend is using AI in the opposite way, right? Here's what you should do instead. So for example, when we're creating content or we're writing a script for a YouTube video, we'll do the writing ourselves first. We'll come up with the arguments and the structure and everything. And then when we give it to AI, we'll ask AI to tear this apart. Where is my logic weak? What assumptions am I making that I haven't even examined? And one of my favorites is asking, if someone's skeptical were to watch this, what would they attack? And so the first time we did this, I remember writing a script and I felt so good about it. But when AI came back, it found a bunch of holes in my argument. It was bad. Like the analogy I used in my video, it didn't even make sense and it ended up confusing people even more. And that was great, right? We're using AI to actually pressure test what we were doing. So I thought that this idea had a connection here and here, and the AI was like, no, actually that's wrong, and it goes over here. It helps you really pressure test what you're creating. We weren't just asking AI to think for us, we were using it to think against us, and our thinking got sharper because of it. Now, the third practical technique here is about create, and it's basically to create publicly. This could be a YouTube video, this could be writing an essay, it could be giving a workshop, whatever it is, you have an audience actually engaging with what you're creating. When you create publicly, people can push back at you. They can leave comments, they can like or dislike your stuff, they can ask questions. And so because of this, you can no longer hide behind surface level understanding when people are asking you to go deeper. So there's this quote from, I think it was Einstein, who said, if you can't explain it simply, then you don't understand it, right? If you can't explain what you know to a 5-year-old, then you probably don't understand it. And now that I'm thinking about it, I think that quote needs to be updated to, if you can't create it without AI, then you don't understand it. It's probably gonna get to that point. But so now that you have these 3 new practical techniques, when you train with all 3, you don't just get better at learning, you become a better thinker and a better teacher. And that is what really makes a difference, right? You make better content, you grow bigger businesses. That's the real divide now, is the founders and the creators who know how to train their thinking. Those are the people who actually compound. And so now, if you feel like you are an expert in your field, or you do have a lot of experience, but you haven't quite yet figured out how to translate that into good content or to communicate your value to the masses, then consider working with us. This is exactly what we specialize in. But regardless of who you are, one of the most powerful ways to start training expertise and depth in your field is reading. It's a skill that sadly is slowly eroding in modern society. Something like 40% of students can't even read nowadays. And by reading, I don't mean just looking at words on a page. I mean actively engaging with it, highlighting, taking notes, actually internalizing this knowledge. If that's something that interests you, then we actually made a video about what reading actually does to your brain at a structural level, and why reading is probably the fastest way to rebuild the depth that AI is eroding in the brain. So check it out right here.